The video games industry is one of the most innovative and fastest growing industries in the world. The men and women of this industry work tirelessly to provide entertainment for the masses, and some of these provide the music. Music that we love. Music that we listen to when we're enjoying ourselves playing those video games. Video games. Music that we love. Music that we listen to when we're enjoying ourselves listening to video games. Video games. Do we even know who these people are? No. Would video games be the same without them? No. What you're about to hear?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another special episode of Average Giants. I am your host, the Average Gamer, and with me is Ferdinand, but you can just call him Giant.
Well, hello there. How are you today?
Good.
No, you're not, you liar.
I am so good today. I'm excited. What are we playing today, Giant?
We are playing a Shovel Knight and Black Ice, the game.
Yes, we're going to break a record with Black Ice. I think it's the third time they
Yep, they're number 3.
Whole record-breaking show. And so first up we have Shovel Knight, which is an amazing game. I'm really excited to have these guys on the show.
Yes.
And with us is Ian Flood, I believe. Flood. And you are a programmer for Yacht Club Games, who obviously made Shovel Knight.
Yes, that's right. That's pretty much all we've been thinking about this past year, and all we will continue to think about for the next probably several.
Actually, yeah, before we get started, I'd love to hear a little bit of the history, like with you guys' Kickstarter, and just a quick synopsis of the game.
Sure. Shovel Knight was a kickstarted game back in April of last year. It's a classic platformer back from the inspired by NES classics. You play as Shovel Knight, and you hop and bop your way to victory by defeating other themed knights and defeating the evil enchantress at the end. Sorry, it's been a while since I've had to cold pitch the game premise, just because I've been doing like update notes and things like that. It's like Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is a game that will soon be out in Europe, I hope, is like what I've been thinking about more than almost anything else.
I saw you guys update with the languages and that kind of thing, that you're going international now.
That's right, yeah, and it's all submitted, so we're in the final step of seeing the game out for everyone out there.
That's cool.
And this is the first time I've been able to say that Shovel Knight was a hop and bop as opposed to like a platformer or an action-adventure game. I don't know if I like it, though. I think I'm going to switch to those other terms.
That's actually something that they say out there.
I might keep hop and bop, actually. I kind of like that, so...
They actually say that.
Yeah?
Oh. So what, Mario Brothers was a hop
Oh,
and bop?
no, not normally. I don't think. I haven't heard hop and bop very often. So I've cleared my profile so that we can actually start fresh tonight, but I kind of want to take a second to show off the intro, if you guys don't mind, because it's really cool.
Yes.
And obviously after my name. Oh.
You're not ready at all.
Oh, shush you.
So how's the weather out there?
It's sunny California.
It's been nice. It recently just started to cool down a lot more. So
how's the weather in Valencia?
Wow.
Sorry, that's a Canadian's take on a Californian accent.
This is odd. Long ago, the lands were untamed and roamed by legendary adventurers. Take your turn.
What?
Go.
Of all heroes, none shone brighter than Shovel Knight and Shield Knight. But their travels together ended at the Tower of Fate, when a cursed amulet wrought a terrible magic. When Shovel Knight awoke, the tower was sealed and Shield Knight was gone. Love that music.
Right? It's
awesome. His spirit
I didn't want to
broken,
ruin.
a grieving Shovel Knight went into a life of solitude.
I love how he's still fully armored.
Yeah.
His life of solitude, he's never changed.
That's his day-to-day. That's what he does.
But without champions, the land was seized by vile power. The Enchantress and her order of no quarter.
So good.
Now, the tower is unsealed, and devastation looms. A new adventure is about to begin.
Yes.
Boop, 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 boop.
So when you guys were first thinking about what kind of game you wanted to make, did you just go, I think we should do retro, but I don't think retro is retro enough, so we should add some retro into our retro to try and retro up the place a bit?
I mean, yeah, finally layering the retro so it's like folded metal was a big part of it for sure.
This is the Damascus of
Yes.
retro gaming.
It really is.
We got that now.
I mean, we did a big priority for us was we were a small group of we're a small team, we're half a dozen or so, but we wanted a game that we could that we could make like every aspect of and like shine it or polish it until it shines. So that's originally why we settled on a game of this type. I felt it was something that we could really like get behind and really like push to its full potential. So
Interesting. And you definitely got a lot of support from the community, because I know your Kickstarter, you got far and above what you were hoping to get for your goal.
yes, I mean we put out the pitch, and Kickstarter backers or even soon-to-be Kickstarter backers certainly answered the call. The amount of support we received just from the day the Kickstarter launched, even up until and after release, not even from backers, but just anyone who was interested in all things Shovel Knight was, I don't know, I'm taken aback every time. It's like the amount of fan art we've received, like music or levels or just ideas has been like really fantastic to see.
And, of course, well, not that it's anything bad, but why Shovel?
Why? I guess that's a good question.
Well, we started with the gameplay mechanic first. We wanted a game where the original idea is we wanted to build upon the down thrust mechanic from Zelda 2. Actually,
Okay.
Sean's a big fan of that one, and there's a lot of like cool combat details in Zelda 2 that are like kind of lost this day, which is just when you hit enemies they push back, and there's like a little bit of a tug of war. When you fight like some of the enemies in that game, it's a serious confrontation. Even though you don't have a lot of moves and there's not a lot of options, there's like a lot at stake there. So we originally started with the down thrust mechanic, but we wanted to, at least at the core level, build upon it in a two-step way. So we were thinking about a game where you could flip enemies into the air and then like use the down thrust to like finish them off when you expose their weak point.
Oh, cool.
And so the idea of like flipping an enemy, we're thinking like what weapon would like flip? What could you do to like get under a character and then like put them into the air? And we realized that like it more than almost anything else, it matched with the idea of a shovel, which could also be like taken as a serious weapon, or like it's a well, not a serious weapon. That's probably the wrong term. As a weapon that you could foresee would hurt if you swung it, I suppose. And from there, we started going on the idea of like, what if there was a guy who was like super into using a shovel? That's all he did and all he wanted to do. And then it became Shovel Knight, and it spiraled out of control ever since.
Well, if there's any consolation, I have a friend
That's
who
good.
used to carry a shovel in her car as a form of defense.
Really?
Yep.
I was going to bring up that
Because
movie Mystery Men.
Here's the thing: is that if you put a bat in your car, in your vehicle, it can be construed as an actual weapon, unless you have a baseball mitt and a ball, because then it's just equipment. But if you just have the bat, it's now officially a weapon, and you can get in trouble for it. But nobody's
interesting.
gonna say anything about a shovel. I mean, it's a shovel.
Weird.
Well, then I
Oh, sorry. Really
I almost
quickly-
feel like the first. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Really.
I almost feel like we
Go ahead.
nod to that in the opening line of the village when the knight stops Shovel Knight and says like, hey, you can't walk in here with weapons, and then sees the shovel. It's like, oh, never mind, go right on ahead. I think we're actually retroactively harkening back to that story now.
Yeah, totally.
Just be like, yeah, we know a guy who had a friend who did this. That's how it went down.
Oh, got it.
Shovel owners every.
So the one thing I was going to ask was, what Kickstarter tier
Oh, yeah.
would I have to contribute to actually get my own shovel?
None. We don't offer that option, unfortunately, but we might have something like that. We might have some cool things coming out soon that could fill that space of
Oh, man.
pixelated shoveling.
Because I really need
that you
something
need
on
desperately.
I just need a desktop shovel. But like a statue, like for when I.
Oh
do
yeah,
this
like
game.
maybe like Master Sword style, just like
Right?
sitting in like an encasement of some kind. Sorry, I can't stop playing the game quite yet. I'm watching a delightful ad for Borderlands,
Oh, not
and as soon as that's done, I'll let you know what you're actually doing over there. Oh, there we go. Hey, look, it's Shovel Knight. I love it. There, the ads work.
Yeah. Oh, yes, they do.
But yeah, I mean, the Kickstarter rewards, we definitely thought through a lot of ideas like that. It's like, maybe we can give away a shovel, and we're thinking, how could we dress up a shovel to where you would actually want it? And we realized that was like outside of our capabilities at the time, so we've settled on like, I think we could make like an NES box or an instruction manual that you would really want.
Yeah.
But the shovel, that'll have to be left to somebody who's much more skilled in the real world than us.
I saw a really neat thing the other day. Somebody made their own acrylic, like see-through clear case for The Legend of Zelda, like an actual an actual cartridge. So it had the game in it. It was the actual game itself, Nintendo game. But they custom made an acrylic case, like the game cartridge for it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, once you pop those things open, it's pretty easy to relocate them.
Yeah. So what you could do is you could do something like that, except put like a USB of the game in it. That's in the shape of a shovel.
Yeah. I mean, we had some people we definitely had suggestions for that. Like, is there anything like I could back to that would get me like the game on a USB or like a pen drive or a CD or something like that? And we thought through some of it, but nothing really came together.
I would like a full-size shovel with a USB on the end of it.
Actually,
all right.
There just was a Kickstarter that they released a Dreamcast, or they're going to be releasing a Dreamcast RPG. Like, just straight
excellent.
up. Yeah, which is kind of neat. There we go.
Have you guys heard of Pure Solar? I think that's an honest-to-goodness Genesis RPG that'll be coming out on Wii U very soon.
Which, I love that kind of thing. I also love the secrets that you guys have in this game. I was going to ask, the inspiration for a lot of this stuff, it feels like the old DuckTales game to me, and a little bit of, like, castles, or goblins and ghouls, and, like,
right.
Man, obviously. So I was wondering, like, what exactly inspired you guys from old games to create Shovel Knight?
I mean, it wasn't too specific, other than, like, we started with the base of, I think very clearly a sort of Mega Man or like Capcom era, NES era inspiration, which is like the map transition screens, the way like rooms are built out, and some cues on the character itself. But from there, I think we kind of let it go a little bit more loose than that, where we were kind of like tapping into our collective minds for what we remember from playing games like that. So, I mean, for one programmer, David, I think DuckTales was the first video game he's ever played, so he probably pulled in a little bit of that. Yeah. Sean really liked Zelda 2. Like, I played a lot of we've all played a lot of, like, weird NES games, one or the other, like, Codename Viper, or, like, one of those other strange games that you probably booted up one time or another. And I think, rather than, like, starting at oh, no! Sorry, I just watched you.
All good. That's going to happen a whole lot more.
Wait, we're on hitbox. The lag is like much less. It's like lesser than I'm used to.
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds or so at worst.
That's way better than like the minute and a half that I'm used to like trying to gloss over.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hitbox, buy it today.
You heard it here first.
Man, I'm really pumping the products today. Like I need to like throw something else in here. But sorry. So as far as we didn't start with any level saying like, oh yeah, this is totally going to be like the Norfair ripoff. Let's do it. Instead, we had tenets that we wanted to hit, which are like, a lava stage, or this night's underwater, so we need to like figure out what we're going to do with that. And we kind of filled in the gaps with like what we imagined from the time, or just like how games like that came together, which is whether that's how an enemy flickers when he gets hit, or how like a specific object happens to move, and we just kind of built it out from there.
I also love the mechanic of, like, how much you guys have embraced the shovel. Like, obviously it's Shovel Knight. You need some shoveling in there, but the amount of detail you go into with this shovel, of, like, I see a thing on the ground, I'm like, oh, that's gray, I can shovel that. That's not a normal thought that you would have playing a video game.
You've embodied Shovel Knight. It's great. Thank you. I mean, I'm glad that for a game of this type, even just some small touches to objects like a dirt pile with money, and it goes such a long way just to like conveying the character and like making it fun. So it was great to get to embellish that and like draw upon it.
Another thing I wanted to touch on, actually, because with the shovel, you've embraced it so well, and everything's so intuitive, that there is, much like Mega Man X, there is really no tutorial here. You're just left to your own devices of figuring out, normally you're going to hit A to jump, and then you're going to have another button to attack, which in this case is shoveling. And then it's up to you to figure out how you shovel. Like,
Right.
It's really cool. It's really well done that way, and it's seamless, so that you have a high skill cap game that doesn't require any explanation whatsoever. So well done.
Well, thank you. I mean, that was all, Sean, the level designer and director's meticulous design, and just iterating as a team on all of those. It's great to pull off a game like that. It's good just to have the mechanics out in the open, let you like mess around with it. We have a slightly easier time since the game was only 2 buttons, so the array of possible maneuvers is like much smaller. But yeah, it's been really great like getting to build upon that. Even when we put the game out for playtesters, a few here and there, they would say like, hey, the first like 2 dirt blocks where you have to dig down, like I didn't think it was impossible, but for like a few seconds I felt confused. So I would recommend you put in a tutorial or like something like that. Like the idea was definitely there, but I think we stuck to it and the game paid off because of it.
Completely. I would totally agree with that statement. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to kill the Black Knight here, and it's...
Yeah, he has you on the ropes. I would be careful.
Yeah, even your first boss is like, oh, I see where the skill cap is coming in here. Good lord.
I put together this boss, and my favorite part about it is it's pretty much how this fight would play out if it was 2 players fighting as well. Like, you can run back and forth and, like, kind of dig, but that's, like, pretty much all you got. You can jump around like a fool for a bit. I don't know, I really like the way that it all came together.
Another small design thing that I love is, you know that your players are going to be dying on bosses, so when they come back in, I don't have to go through all that text again, which is really nice to have the storyline, but I just want to beat this guy right now.
Yes, yeah. I think that's one of the like unwritten sins that you can commit is to force the player in front of the same dialogue. And even though, it takes like 1 button press to dismiss all of it, I'm glad you noticed. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few small touches like that.
Oh, no, I forget what I was gonna say. No, is everything in this game like 100% original when it comes to like the sound effects, the backdrops, the pixel art?
Yes. Every pixel and sound channel and sine wave and all that were. It was all constructed for this project. We didn't start over sprites and trace over them. We didn't start with a MIDI file and deconstruct it. We've been making games for a long time between all of us. I came from Way Forward Technologies, where I worked for the past 5 or 6 years, and I was making all sorts of platformers and brawlers and movie tie-in games, of course. So I think we all had a pretty good confidence level on like tackling something like this from the ground up. So every pixel and every bit is hand-lovingly crafted, I would say.
And so many sine and square waves. So many.
There's a fair amount, you'd be surprised.
How hard was it to make the soundtrack to this? To me it sounds a lot like a homage to Mega Man sort of thing.
I think Jake Kaufman, or Vert, our lead sound dude, he was the one who spearheaded the whole thing, so I can't speak too much for him. I think he definitely started with, I guess, like I said, the Capcom era as the base, but I think the end result is feels pretty different in some cases. I think there's some cool choices he made throughout. The whole soundtrack, by the way, is available on his Bandcamp. I think vert.bandcamp.com. It's free. You can download it if anyone wants to ever give it a listen. For some context. But that combined with the fact that we had Manami Matsumai contributing tracks to the game, who's the original composer and sound designer on the original Mega Man game, probably set the tone a little bit for the team as well in terms of what we're looking for. But yeah, it was go right ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I've heard a lot of collaborators with old school composers lately. There's another Kickstarter called Hover. Yeah! Sorry. And they
no, it's okay. One more hit.
Yeah. Hover is very much like Jet Set Radio, and they actually got the original composer of Jet Grind Radio, sorry, the first one, to come in and do the soundtrack for their games.
Hideki Naganuma, right?
Yes, yeah, Hideki Naganuma. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, for a lot of these, I mean, it's great that there's a communication line to make that kind of stuff happen. It's really great for setting up just the expectation and like keep the spirit of the games alive that we're all drawing upon and build upon them, of course.
Oh my god, she's falling!
She's not real, don't worry.
Oh. Catch her!
No, wait, no, catch her. She might be real. This might be the one.
Actually, that's interesting. It's a narrative mechanic or cinematic mechanic normally when you fade to white to show off like the dream kind of sequence. That's cool. I really like
Thank you. We spent a lot of time first like talking about this like cinematic part and and implementing it a little bit, just like tweaking it ever so such to like make it a little faster or make it like a little bit more I don't know, descriptive. So we were worried that like a little bit of cutscene could go too far when you see it that many times, but it was pretty glad to see it. I'm pretty happy to see it coming together.
I also
Like
love the
I
Super
read
Mario
that.
World map. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing too.
Yeah.
No, it was fun to put something like this together for sure.
How much time has been spent on this game, like since the original thought came into your guys' head to what it is now?
Well, I mean, we only had the idea in our head a month or two before the Kickstarter went live. We were working on another title before we decided to switch over to Shovel Knight, and we decided we didn't really like where it was going, so we wanted to do something that like we knew we could execute on better. So we sat down, we came up with the ridiculous idea of like flipping an enemy and finishing them off, and the whole Shovel Knight mythos and world. And then from there, 1 month later, we put up a Kickstarter about it, and it kind of all went crazy from there on out. So I would say at this point, it's been 14 to 16 months that we've been working on it, but and many, many more to go.
That's cool. What do you guys have planned next, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we still have some Kickstarter stretch goals to tend to, which is playable Plague Knight, playable Spectre Knight and King Knight, a 4-player battle mode, a challenge mode, and a gender swap mode. And I think, those are like the big things we're going to hit. So we want to get all those we want to, I don't know, do the best possible thing we can, of course, on those, and hopefully get them to everyone within like the coming months. Once we start like wrapping down with that and like we can get it to a mode where we know where we're going on that, we'll probably start ruminating on whatever our next title will be.
There's two questions on the chat. One is, will this game be on the Ouya?
Right now we're looking at additional platforms. I think we have an Ouya dev unit from like way back when of the original Kickstarter, but it's not something we're looking at too heavily right now. But we'd like to get the game on as many platforms as is convenient for everyone out there, so it could be possible.
And also, Yin Yamin asks, can you link the Bandcamp?
Here, can I place it in our Skype chat and you can throw it over? I'm not signed in, but that should be it right there.
That'd be fine.
I sent it to Nick.
Oh yeah, I can grab it. No,
Which one?
That's
I sent it to a Nick. Isn't that enough?
God, we're so needy. There you go, guys. Check out that Bandcamp. I know I'm gonna be after the show.
Yeah.
Directly after
Thank
the
you
show.
so much.
This music just makes me like kind of get amped to play some classic games. Except for
That's
Mega Man,
great.
because I don't want to play Mega Man.
Why not?
Because it was a fun game, but a very sad experience for me as a child.
I'm sorry.
I had the chance. Okay, these were my options. I had the chance to get myself the original Zelda in the gold case on Nintendo, or Mega Man 3, and I chose Mega Man 3.
Good choice.
Okay.
And basically, for the next couple of years of me owning the Nintendo, I was only ever able to beat that game with a Game Genie, and barely.
That was me and Battletoads,
It
actually.
mocked you for many years.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure if I ever went back to Mega Man any of them, I'm sure I would never be able to get close to beating them.
Oh, so good.
I had the same like dilemma. I was in a discount bin in Toys R Us when I was, I don't know, 14 or something, and I had in one hand Kirby's Dream Land 3 for Super Nintendo, or whichever one had like the watercolor style, and I had Kirby Superstar, and like both of them were like Kirby games, so I was like never more confused. And I went with Kirby's Dream Land 3 because it looked really cool, and Superstar just looked like weird and glossy. But whenever I heard about those two games, everyone always talked about Superstar. Like, that's the one that got the DS re-release. That's the one that has like the cool like multiplayer and all the weird mini games. And I thought like, oh man, did I really mess up? Is that really the best one? But then after playing it, I actually still like Dreamland 3 because it has exploration. It has like the star shines and all that that are more from like the Game Boy ones. And Superstar is like too scattershot and weird. But
That's very true.
what I'm saying is Zelda was a good choice. Or no, Mega Man was a good choice.
Mega Man
Whichever
is an
one.
excellent
I think,
choice.
I know, I mean, it put me into that whole realm of the cool in the year 2XXX.
Heck yeah. Did you ever play Mega Man 0?
No.
God, it was like they wanted to make Mega Man games, but they wanted to make them difficult. It's a brutal
like,
series.
Don't press that button on your controller because you'll die instantly.
Shall we go to the
But I'm not
lair
gonna
of
tell you which
King
one.
Knight?
Sure. There's another question in the chat. If you guys had to break Shovel Knight down into 2 games,
that
what
locked?
would they be and why?
Oh, it is locked.
That's locked.
I mean, I guess I would say Mega Man and Zelda 2.
Yeah. Which is so funny that you brought
Wait.
up Zelda 2. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was way into thinking DuckTales for the jumping on the cane.
With his cane jump?
Yeah.
I guess, the way that the character gets hit back and the way that some enemies respond makes me think a little more, like, a little less Scrooge McDuck. But there's
true.
definitely Scrooge McDuck in there, too. And his love of gold, of course.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You can just hit random spots in DuckTales and gems will appear.
Mm-hmm. Whoa!
Yeah, it was a perplexing adventure, I would say.
That's a good way to put that game. I love your
Scrooge
color
McDuck
palette.
can't swing a cane without hitting treasure. is my takeaway.
That
It makes me
sense.
wonder why nobody else is rich in that world.
It's actually due to his lucky coin.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot.
Remember, because of his lucky coin, he had all the riches, and because of that, no one else did.
The rich get richer, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Some
Scrooge
nonsense.
McDuck's is 1%. Occupy his vault. All I'm saying.
Man, now you got me wanting to look up the. Forbes has that annual list of how rich fictional characters are.
Oh, excellent.
I know
So it has
that
like
the-
Richie Rich in there.
Richie
Montana
Rich,
Max.
C. Montgomery Burns, Monopoly Guy.
Whoa. So I was gonna ask, is every level, like, do you guys have the palette in mind first, or is that like one of the last things you come up with? Because there's such interesting colors in this one, in this level.
Yeah, it's quite a golden castle set against a purple background with green walls is pretty much the best. I would say the palette comes into play very early when we're working with tile sets and the character art.
Okay.
For like the walls that you're seeing in pretty much every stage, they're not just pixeled in like various shades of gray and the color applied later. The walls start with the color green that they are, and it like builds out from there. So I think when each new layer is started, it's like the colors are already at least basically in mind. Sometimes we do a little bit of tuning, like I think Alchemy Lab and their like the back shelves became a little bit browner and less green just to provide more contrast. But the color is like one of the initial starting points. And yeah.
I like the fact
It's
that nothing gets
it's like a
lost.
puzzle.
Oh, you!
No item, no character gets lost in the color palette, because I know that could easily happen and did happen in the past.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially in, with games with 3D cameras or with like just more modern games, it's difficult to always get a beat on what the player is seeing or what they could possibly see. But when approaching a game like this, we are able to focus and make it pop. So a lot of times a character is made and he's only intended to be in like this stage, so we can make some edits. I think actually the jouster enemies that you're fighting now, if you look back at our like early footage of the game, I think they used to be golden because they were gold, they were like robots or something like that. But we changed them more to like a weird green just because they're easier to stand out, and back in the NES sometimes that's like what you would encounter.
Another question is, if you could remake any game, what would you take a crack at, and what would you change?
At this point, I mean, with all the hubbub that's going on, I would love to take an honest try at reintroducing the ice climbers to everyone. I think that they would go on many lovely adventures climbing mountains that could lead to all sorts of things, including vegetables. And that there could be like some light touches to cooperative platforming or competitive platforming when you least expect it, and reaching new areas using new tools and mobility to to scale a mountain. I think that's a challenge that anyone can get behind.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting way to put
the
that.
only game that has taken a crack at the idea of the ice climbers is Broforce, because they had the Boondock Bros.
Oh, is that right? I don't think I've seen that character.
Yeah, the Boondock Bros, and you use two of them, and they both shoot at the same time. And if one dies, your special ability is to resurrect the other. But I think that's about as close as I've seen.
Okay. Well, I think like the Smash Brothers iterations, they use like the second character is
really
frames
well.
behind or ever so slightly behind.
Yeah.
But I think just having it like traditional, where one character is one of the climbers, the other one is the other, and you can like get through it by yourself, but also you could like help one another and kind of like tackle the challenges. I think that would be like, that's always fun in my book. Just those kinds of like platforming challenges.
Completely. Actually, yeah, no, you brought up an interesting point. I'd love to see what a modern day take on the ice climbers would be. Just even a mountain climbing sim game.
Mountain climbing sim.
There is
Oculus
some actual,
Rift.
No, there
mountain
is some
climbing
actual
sim.
potential there for sure.
I think it'd be a lot of fun to solve. Yeah.
That'll be a definite VR thing.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
That's a-
Code Princess is asking if there's any level system or any weapon customization in what I would assume to be Shovel Knight.
Yes.
There's no leveling. However, you can see that a lot of money is being collected. There's a village with various NPCs, and you can use those to buy permanent upgrades or sub-weapon relics, similar to like Castlevania style. And through the end of the game, your character will get stronger. You can like upgrade your health and your magic, or learn like a few new techniques, or change your armor set. The game doesn't have like raw stats like +8 defense, but it does have more HP or more secondary effects.
That's cool.
There's no active inventory management. You never have to throw out a bear pelt in order to make room for a rat pelt, but when you buy sub-weapons, you permanently have them in your inventory. You can switch at any time, and there's like a few consumable items that you can only use once.
Oh, I knew that was gonna happen too.
Sorry, I had to laugh at that one. You got smelted.
Whoa. I love the skill cap in this game. It brings me right back, actually, because there's not many games nowadays that are just like unforgiving but fun.
What game was it that we played that was procedurally generated and...
Crystal Catacombs. It's the only game I have on
Crystal
my
Catacombs.
MacBook.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I mean, one of the earliest things that went online in this game was the character and then the health. But when the player died, we never at any time had like a life system or a punishment system that was any rougher than like you go back to the last checkpoint. So I'm glad that we're able to stick with that and present something where you can still slip up and fall to your doom, but there's you can get right back up, you can tackle it again, or it's not too depressing that you never want to play again. Trying to like balance that line of challenge has been pretty much the priority of the whole project.
And how much playtesting goes into that balance?
Like infinite. We were every time we made changes to the level, every time we were playing through it, we were always thinking both aloud and to ourselves. We were asking like, is this too hard? Are people going to understand this? Will they know this? And a lot of times we acted upon that and like made changes, and it wasn't necessarily to make the game easier. It was just to hide or remove like obviously incorrect answers. Later in the game, in Propeller Knight stage, the flying machine, there's a part where there's wind gusts that pick up the character and like make you run faster, or like they push you around essentially. And there was one room that you run in there and the wind hits your back and you start running faster. And most players would run and jump off the pit and instantly die because they're like, "Whoa, I'm going so fast! Like, let's just go and jump." So we made like a small lip so that you like would hit the wall first. But still, most players would be like too full of themselves and like jump into the pit. So we're like, okay, let's try putting like an enemy there, but they would still like jump over it and into the pit. So instead, we constructed a wall of spikes right in front of it, and nobody ever hits these spikes. But when they run into the room, they see it and go like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Something's going down. I better like stop and look at what's going on." And the challenge of jumping up high when the wind changes is still there. But now there's less of a opportunity for the player to just straight out kill themselves without thinking. So it was changes like that throughout the game that we were pretty much making every moment. Like even up to the final hour, we were putting tiles down and changing them.
The nice thing is that once you've released your product and that kind of thing, you can see what kind of benefit putting that much work into your playtesting has done, because it's made
For sure.
Such an intuitive game. Like I was saying, very intuitive, to the point that you don't need any kind of written tutorial or any kind of hand-holding. And by not needing hand-holding, you've really embraced that, and you make a game very difficult, and people still don't mind it being difficult because that's kind of what they expect. And there's no hand-holding telling them differently.
I mean, I've had somebody walk up to me and say this game is the easiest thing they've ever played, and then they turn away, and another person walks up and says this game is the hardest game I've ever played. And they're talking about the very clearly the same game. So I think sometimes some areas are like a little harsher for some people, or like it's just like they don't like ice physics or they don't like jumping puzzles. But I think through like a lot of the sub weapons and a lot of the items, we tried to provide a lot of like alternative options that give you a leg up or like outright cheat, so that you can kind of like figure your way out through the game still. And that was a lot of fun, just to not to make concessions on that front, but just to provide like a bit of leniency for a genre where there's rarely any.
And that's a good balance too. That's really neat.
There's a couple more questions on chat.
Okay.
Was there anything unappealing about the Kickstarter process?
I mean, the Kickstarter process is a huge amount of pressure for sure. You're putting your project out there. Once it's funded, there's there's a pact, there's a commitment being made there to the public. But all of that's like more or less accepted. We spent a lot of time like making sure that we were conveying the right information, that like the update had everything in it for everyone. So I mean, like that work isn't unexpected, and I guess it wouldn't be unappealing either, other than that it was definitely like on our minds constantly. But I wouldn't say, I mean, all of that's par for the course. I wouldn't say any of that was too unexpected. If we were a team of developers who never put out a game before, I would be like very scared if anyone ever tackled like putting out a Kickstarter like as their first gig, just because there's so much extra like details going on that are far beyond just making a game. Just like getting everyone's emails, getting them the details they need, making sure they know where the game's at. That was like very much a process for us.
The next
But
one
nothing straight up terrible.
The next question is, does Shovel Knight have a name besides his occupation?
No, I mean his name is Shovel Knight. Even the opening said that. His name, as far as I'm aware, in any time and place, is Shovel Knight, the Shoveling Knight.
And thus it should be. Shovel Knight, the Shoveling Knight.
I think one day we'll be able to reveal a little bit more about like the world and like how knights work, and whether it involves like whether he chose that name or anything like that. But right now, I think what you see in front of you is pretty much as far as we've cemented into lore.
I was gonna actually ask that question to do with the lore. Like, it feels like the world is very well developed. So did you have any plans on making more games in the IP or the world?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to. Not even games. I mean, we've received a lot of interest, whether it's like making new characters or fanfics or anything like that, that just take the game or the world in a much larger direction. I mean, when we made this story and this world, we put a lot of it on paper, and then since we had to fit it onto an NES, a theoretical NES cartridge, we took a lot of it out, or like we pared a lot of it down. Whether some of that I think is still in our heads for like what's really going on, or like a larger picture, but otherwise we kind of focused it in because we didn't want too much exposition. We didn't want too many like details that weren't critical to the gameplay. And I think that's where we're at, where we're at. But I think I would love to learn more about King Knight one day. I would love to learn more about like all of these characters, frankly.
So my wife and I LARP, and we also play Pathfinder. So we would like either a pen and paper version of Shovel Knight or like an actual LARP. Would be a lot of fun.
Oh,
like,
excellent!
Go around with a foam shovel and just beat people in the face with it. I think that'd be good.
So long as it's foam, that sounds fine. Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun to tackle, all of that, just to suss out the details or just see what people do with it.
Quote and insult of the night, if you don't mind reading that.
You're not such a decadent dead.
I love
Ice
that.
cold burn.
Ooh. Prepare
I love it.
Shovel justice.
He goes from like pretty well put together articulated insult to like straight up nonsense in such a short span of time that it's pretty fantastic. I mean, I'm surprised, most of Shovel Knight's exchanges with some of the knights are just straight up aggressive insults. Like, Propeller Knight's like, oh, hey, how's that going? He's like, you're a gyroscopic jerk. And it's like, oh, okay, like, thanks, I guess? And most of the time, I like to imagine that Shovel Knight spends the entire stage, like, thinking up that burn before he got the throne.
Yeah, so much time to think.
It's like, I know what I'm going to do.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, oh, that's really funny.
So there's a lot of questions in the chat. If you guys want to take a look at them, and
Yeah, no, bring it on.
see what
Let's see. Will the Baz ever be accepted into anything in the world of Shovel Knight?
Yeah.
I mean, the Baz is kind of like a loser. I mean, he tries. He's got good energy, but I don't know if he has the follow through.
what is the Baz?
Oh, he's just a short little guy. You're so short without your throne. But God, you hurt. Oh!
He looks so tall. Well, no, it's just his crown is big.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me,
Right.
sir.
And he's not a king. He's just a king-themed knight.
Yeah.
It's very important.
No, he's King Knight, not King.
So this is up to you on if you want to answer this one, but
Sure.
it says, really, what is up with Polar Knight? He and Shovel seem to have some history. Did they have a bad breakup or business deal fallout?
I mean, they were involved in a pretty great snow shoveling entrepreneurship, but it all fell through. There's definitely some history there. I think Polar Knight and Shovel Knight probably go back the furthest in terms of all the characters. But
Well, they're from different kingdoms. Polar Knight hails to the Plow King.
yeah, exactly.
Is it,
We did.
or is it like bipolar Knight? Am I right? Am I right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. However, I think there's definitely some stuff we can expand upon there, but nothing that I know personally that is like fully ready to go. But we're doing these alternate night campaigns, and I would expect a lot of like extra details to come out through that.
That's really cool. This
Maybe
game,
Shovel Knight just owes $5.
This game and your company are exactly what I like to see out of Kickstarter.
Well, that's great.
I don't know if you'd be able, like in the old days, with a publisher or something like that, this would be a hard pitch. And it's nice where the community that wants to play it can actually fund it and get it out there and allow you guys to do your job so damn well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the amount of back and forth that's happened, whether it's through the comment section and things like that, of people throwing out ideas, and just like getting excited about the same stuff we're excited about, makes it like way easier to put this stuff together and like to feel good about it, to like find a direction for it. So to be able to like share character concepts so early on, or to put up like an animated image of a new sub weapon, it's all been like really fantastic. It's like I like to think that we made right on like the Kickstarter promise, but I hope we can continue to deliver on that. I have a bunch of boxes sitting next to me of all these soundtracks and rewards that we're still in the process of setting up or
That's
sending
awesome.
out. So
That's
until
awesome.
until they're in everyone's mailbox, I guess I can't say that we've made good on it quite yet, but we're so close.
Mega Pie Man says, I think some of the game's mini bosses are biased off of Kickstarter backers.
Based?
How? No, it's biased.
Is it biased?
Yeah. Or is it based? Pie Man. What is it? Anyways, how is it working with the backers to make the mini bosses?
It's pretty fantastic. I mean, yeah, that was at the higher tier. There was director for a day where you'd work with you'd visit or you'd Skype in or whatever like was available to you, and you'd pitch an idea, and we would take it to we'd put it into the game. That involved concepting it, making the pixel art, putting it in. We said most of it like as a default would be like a boss encounter. So you see on the world map, Reese, the boomerang wielder, was a director for a day. Baz, of course, was a director for a day from Two Best Friends Play, and Mr. Hat in the village, and the Liquid Samurai enemy, which was our wild card. He was just a normal enemy and not like a full screen boss. So for each of them, yeah, they either, I mean, it was pretty much like working with any member of the team here. Some people have a very like concrete idea of what they want. It's like, oh yeah, he's like, he does this and this. Here's his backstory. Like, here's why he'd be here. Here's how he act. Whereas, some other ones, it would be like, I'm thinking of something like, a character that acts like this, or is like a bit more mysterious or aloof, and like his primary weapon is like this or that. And we would start forming it together into an idea. For us, it was kind of like, okay, for the entire Shovel Knight project, anytime we had an idea, we were thinking like, is this like really the direction that the game should head in? Is this representative of what we're looking for in like an NES game, in a platformer, in an action game? But for these bosses, since we were it was being done like outside the studio by like another mind, we felt less pressure that it had to be like, that it would have to fit like perfectly. Well, no, we did want it to fit perfectly. But we felt less pressure that it was like defining the game itself, and it was more like a fun happenstance that existed alongside the game and with the game. So some of them are a bit jokey, some of them are like a bit like they're a bit unexpected, and I think all of it worked out really well. And there's also Phantom Striker. I didn't want to forget him. That's the other director for a day.
You just got some mad props in the chat. Says Shovel Knight is greater than Destiny.
I haven't played Destiny yet, so I don't know but thank you.
Oh, it's so good. That is a heck of a compliment.
Oh, that's excellent.
Oh, I gotta dig you out, don't I? I knew it.
I'm just happy that people are playing, like, that people want to play games like this today and are, like, interested in it. I know I am. I mean, I was playing Volgar the Viking just last year. I was actually playing I beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts for the first time about 4 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And that was a fun experience. Both times, too. I tried to stop, but my friend said, if you don't beat it both times, then what's the point? So, but it was terrible. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I felt like my gameplay skills were challenged, and then I felt a sense of mastery. Never again. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that, that there's room in everyone's library for maybe a hop and bop game like Shovel Knight every now and again.
Goes to you. Whoop. Oh, God.
Just ducks out of the way.
What a jerk.
Yeah, I'll just leave you alone.
It's
It's
called
okay.
Scooby-Doo. You stop. Ah, troll!
Locke says Destiny is legit. I really love it, but Shovel Knight is made with a soul.
Aw, that means a lot.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, it's so stressful.
Even Locke loves the hop and bop moniker.
Man, Hop and Bop's getting a lot of love here tonight. That's
Yeah.
great.
Redefining
I mean, it makes
the game
sense. You're like jumping and hitting guys.
Nah, darn it. Come on.
You can't get it?
No.
Why not?
Jump that high.
Oh, you have to go the other way?
Huh? Excuse me, sir. I have to go through you. You have to come up again.
Might be tough.
Toil.
Wow.
Hey.
Come back! Come back!
Oh, really? Can I?
If you took a hit, you could probably. There you go.
Where?
I see what's happening now.
Yeah, was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Yeah, there's no negative.
Oh.
You should touch that checkpoint so that you don't die. Okay, wait.
I should have.
You just run through this, you don't need any of that stuff.
Curse to forever be 10 seconds in the past.
So has anyone started speedrunning this game?
Yes, I mean, we had people speedrunning the game before it was officially out because we knew a few enthusiasts in the community who like they reviewed some of our past games where they were playing like Double Dragon Neon or Blood Rain Betrayal in the past, and since we already in contact with them, that we said, hey, if you ever wanted to like run through this thing we're working on and like give us some input, we'd love to hear it. So for some people played through it and they're like, you guys have 5 armors, but like only 2 of them are worth a damn, or why would I ever use anything outside of this one relic right here? And it was all like really good stuff. So I think the world record holder right now is Captain Drake at, I want to say like 52 minutes at this point, 52 to 55, which is pretty great. I can do 1 hour 16, but that's with, that's not perfect lines or anything like that. That's just like making a good try of it. So it's really great.
That's still respectable for a time in general to actually beat the game. Like,
and did you say that you guys were responsible for Blood Rain Betrayal?
Yes. I mean, I personally wasn't a big part of Blood Rain Betrayal. I was on a different project at the time, but it was like when I looked over my monitor, it was over there. But Sean Velasco, the director on Shovel Knight, he was the director on Blood Rain Betrayal. Erin Pellin, she did some of the character illustration and concept, and David D'Angelo was a programmer on it, and Nick Wozniak, the pixel artist for Shovel Knight, is the one that put in all of Zetagama's animations and made them what they are.
Oh, wow.
So. I would say we're a pretty big part of the Blood Rain Betrayal team. And Double Dragon Neon, I was lead programmer on, so I was more involved with that one.
Oh, cool. I asked about Blood Rain. I reviewed it for IGM. So.
Oh, wow. All right.
Great game, very painful. I love.
Was that the recent review, like a PC one or something?
Yeah.
Oh no.
PC.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's so cool to see Abstraction, I think. And Midnight City picking it up and like archiving it forever on PCs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a fun mix between like a gory 2D Ninja Gaiden and Brawlers of Past.
I believe I coined the term Gorchestra in that game.
Phenomenal.
And thank goodness Uwe Ball had nothing to do with the games.
Whoa!
Black Ice the Game said, I want to say the pixel art in this game is so freaking pretty, and Code Princess toned it, also agreed, verily. I'm going to take the credit for Waz here, even though it was all Waz and Morgan and Sean, like all pitching in to like tune it exactly where it is. But thank you for saying that. It was amazing to see it come alive. Just having this level of control over like the tile sets and the characters, and just how tidied up it is, that it's readable and still fun. It was like a pleasure to work with.
Oh, and just so you know, Black Ice or Super Duper Garrett Cooper, he's our next guest with the Black Ice the Game. So
Oh, excellent.
for all you here, stick around if you want to see what that game's all about.
Look at all this stuff.
Look at all this stuff. Wait, that's water down there.
Yep.
Don't jump in the water. All right.
But how can you get back? Oh, I see how you can get back. Cool. I got it.
You figured it out?
Mm-hmm. I love how they put their little secrets in there. Because I was like, wait a minute, there was a skull in that wall.
Yeah, we did a...
It's irrelevant. You don't need
Probably
to
just an
know.
error. We should probably mail Yacht Club about fixing that. Yeah. Black Ice the Game is asking about us on Twitter. We are at Yacht Club Games, is our company handle. I'll type that into Skype too. I'm sorry I'm not in the chat.
No, not at all.
I actually had to install Flash Player on this machine while joining, just because I just recently reformatted this whole thing. So.
Really quickly before we finish off the segment, where did you get the name Yacht Club Games from?
It's a little tongue-in-cheek. we thought, oh yeah, we'll like put out an air of being like all in it for the money and an exclusive club for exclusive people. When in actuality, we felt we were pretty down to earth, pretty like just wanted to make fun games and just get it out to everyone. So if it wraps back around and it ends up being that the kinds of games we make are like, are at least of a I guess a solid quality level, then I think that would work too. It's like, oh yeah, Yacht Club, like that's some fun stuff. I'll probably give that one a try. Then I would be very happy.
If it works, it works. But yeah, I'm pretty sure when I first tried to look up Yacht Club games, I could only find like Florida Yacht Club and.
There's definitely a little bit of competition there. But on the bright side, we have studios across the world at this point. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun getting into the theme of it, whether it's naming a server brig or all sorts of nautical nonsense.
He wants to know if you guys have individual.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, mine is at Ian M Flood or IANMFLOOD. Let me see if I have the others.
Who does
We're all on
Shovel
there.
Knight 1? Is that you guys?
The Shovel Knight one is not technically us, but he is. We're in contact with him, and you can follow him too. He's a great guy.
Okay. I think I might have.
That was the weirdest pitch ever. But yeah, Shovel Knight 1 is a cool thing.
Okay, because that was the first thing, like when I was trying to look for the, how to contact, I think that was one of the first things that came up. Because I didn't know that you guys were Yacht Club game.
I see.
But I figured it out, since we're talking to each other. Oh, there's spikes on the roof.
Oh my god, you jerk! What a jerk. He's a jerk. He's kind of a jerk.
I pasted some of our personal Twitters inside the Skype.
Sweet.
So that should help you if you wanted to follow the good programmer instead of me. You could do that. If you wanted to follow the pixel artist, they're all in there for your perusal.
At Norkwaz. I'm in. Oh, Wozniak.
Okay,
that's
sure.
a great Twitter handle.
I agree.
I want to thank you, Ian, though. We've got about 2 minutes left here. I just want to say
Okay.
thanks for coming on the show. It was
Thanks
a
for having
blast. Yes.
It's phenomenal. Thank you so much for getting in contact. Thanks for choosing, even for a moment, to consider playing Shovel Knight.
Oh, totally. It's an amazing game, and I love it. And I hope for future updates, if you guys have anything that you want to show off, or even games to come in the future, we would love to have you back on the show.
That sounds great. I mean, we're not going anywhere. We're still doing more stuff, and yeah, I'd love to stay in contact. So.
Wicked. That's
All right.
what we like to hear.
Okay, I think that's gonna about cover it for Shovel Knight, though, guys. We're gonna take a short, 2-minute break-ish, and then we'll be back with some Black Ice. We have some really cool updates to show off.
Yes, stick around. It's amazing.
Wow.
What?
Stick around. Okay.
Stick around.
Thank you again, Ian.
Black Ice coming up next.
I guess we will talk to you in a little bit, buddy.
All right. Thanks, everyone.